Hey, so this is the third time we've started this because we didn't record the first two times. So we're getting started now. My name is Craig Johnson. I'm with the Teneo Group, and I'd like to discuss SD-WAN. Today, we're actually going to be doing a technical demonstration on SD-WAN and how we improve your business continuity. Today, I'm also excited to introduce our real expert, Sean Germanowski. He's going to take this presentation and run with it from here. We will be doing questions and answers throughout the entire process. Sean, it's in your hands.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited too, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me here. We've been receiving a number of requests to do some demonstrations of how this actually works, like, actual videos and so on. So I put some of those together, and hopefully they're interesting for you. But, I've been doing this for a better part of 20 years, and I can tell you that SD-WAN is probably the most transformative thing to hit the internet / WAN network for business in the last 25 years. You'd have to go back to network address translation to see something as transformative. And those of you who do that process understand what I'm talking about. What we're really looking at here is something that can do a multitude of things. Like, it can save time, it can save money, it saves circuit costs, it saves aggravation. And I'm sure you've seen it, Craig, where, and just generally, if you're trying to deploy a branch, what do you have to do? You've got to get the address, you got to get the circuit ordered, you've got to get the equipment, you got to get the equipment built and configured, and most of it is distributed. It's not centrally controlled. In the past, it was something that someone would have to sit down and manually configure. And it was very time consuming, and oftentimes it was a failure because they didn't do it right. And, that was a problem. SD-WAN replaces and fixes that. This saves money. I mean, there's time involved right there, but you can reduce your device footprint at the branch, right? You can collapse your firewall and your router into a single unit. And frankly, I think you should do an HA pair so it's high availability isn't built in there. But Versa makes that easy, where that was difficult in the past. You can save circuit costs. MPLS. Why do we have MPLS? Well, it's a very low latent, reliable, secure connection, so they say, right? But that no longer is a standard. That is no longer something that you can say, well, I have an MPLS link, it's fine. No, it has to be encrypted traffic end to end now to meet new requirements. So that single point that has changed in MPLS is making people look at SD-WAN, because with a couple of broadband connections in an SD-WAN Versa appliance, you can achieve the same sort of performance you got with MPLS. It's huge. I'm sorry if I'm getting wordy here, but honestly, the amount of time, money, and savings you get out of this is very compelling. And this is a story that we're going to try to show you today, and hopefully it comes across. So our agenda there is up on the screen. We're going to talk about the typical network map. We're going to get into what a smart network looks like. We're going to show onboarding a branch, rapid failover, and also we're going to show some application preferencing in there as well. So let's get to the discussion here. So when you talk about a typical network now, here's your data center environment, right? It's just represented by these large server-looking things, right? So that's usually your hub. Well, you still have your outlying areas. You've got your branches, maybe your partners out there connected by IPsec VPNs. You've got your smaller branches. You've got home users like VPN users, right? Everybody's connecting back to the data center. That's been the case for the last, 20 years or more, 30 years probably. Well, what's happened? The World Wide Web came along, and so we've got to have connectivity to that web, but we can't just let it, flow right through the environment. You've got to secure it, right? So there's Checkpoint's logo. You've got a checkpoint, or you got a firewall in the middle, and you're basically tromboning all this traffic through your data center, out to the web, back through the data center, back out to your branch and your users. Well, what's changed beyond that? Well, now you've got Office 365 out there, you got Salesforce, you got Box, you've got all sorts of, software as a service out there, and it's still tromboning, but that stuff used to be inside the network, right? Those we used to host email. We used to have our ERP inside. We used to have our file and share folders inside. We don't have that anymore. It's getting out to the cloud, and this is not optimal. So I think at this point, you got to think, what's the issue? The legacy networks aren't built for this. They're just not. It's something that's changed in the last 10 years, and it's becoming a mainstay, and it's becoming the reality, right?
So Sean, how do we fix that?
Well, we've got a couple of ways to do that, but right now we're going to take a look at SD-WAN. So SD-WAN, we'll take this into a smart network design, right? To me, a smart network is one that's reachable multiple ways, and you've got to do it securely, and that's how the SD-WAN builds that mesh that we're going to show here in just a second. But you've got these things to be concerned about. You've got multi-cloud areas to go to. You still have to go to the internet. You still have to reach your data center. There's still things there like homegrown applications, you know. I've seen plenty of that. But, you know, and maybe you still have an MPLS network because maybe you're intercontinental with your business and there's a lot of, you know, distance to span. And MPLS does work in those conditions where you have multi-thousands of miles to reach, right? It's a switch network, not routed, so it's faster. But what happens here is Versa comes in, builds this mesh that you see, right? And then we're going to overlay the checkpoint piece. There's your security. You do the security at each and every site, right? It has the ability to integrate with checkpoint and simplify this entire design into something that gives you a single pane of glass to manage all this. And yes, the Versa system will help manage the checkpoint, and the checkpoint works just as you usually had it. You would get into the checkpoint, you'd see the logs, you would configure your policies. Nothing really changed there. It's just a matter of whether it's running as a VM at the remote site, if it's a large, like that top left building there, or a tiny little site, you know, I don't know, represented maybe by the third icon down there on the left, where it's maybe cloud-based, where it's, you know, you fire up your security up to the cloud and you use that approach too. It's flexible. That's probably where they got the name Versa, the versatility that comes with it. So this would be your smart network, and this makes it simpler.